Conrad Unfar. We're participating in a very, very important activity here tonight. But I would like to recognize Her Excellency, the Ambassador for the Republic of Cuba, also the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, the General Counsel for the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, and I was told that there's also the Ambassador for Panama is here, and any other diplomats, or brother David Comensong, who is Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, Member of Parliament, the Honorable Trevor Prescott. I would like to bring greetings to all of you and our brothers and sisters, Tamara, who is from ECAP in Cuba. Greetings. But as I mentioned earlier, this is a very important session. Very, very, very important session. And I want to go back into history to recognize some heroes who are responsible for what we are recognizing here today. In the 1970s, late 1970s, I met some comrades from Monali, the Movement for National Liberation, who had a committee that was set up to offer solidarity with the government and people of Cuba. They had persons like Ricky Paris, Norman Farrier, Francis Bell, Mike Richards, who is now, who's we know as Adja, and Mike Cummings, and a lot of other brothers. And it is these brothers who, in the late 1970s, that used to organize a fishing boat in Barbados on the 6th of October to go into the ocean to pay respect to those Cubans and those persons from Guyana and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea who died on the Cuban airline. It is those brothers that are responsible for what we are recognizing here today. Because I remember going with them in the 1970s as part of a committee within Monali. Then we had the Cuban Barbados Friendship Association in the 1980s, led by Gloria Nelson, Corbett Belgrave, Doridge, Glenn Roy-Strawn, Reverend, I think his name was Reverend Hannum, who was here in Barbados, a Cuban, who was connected to the Caribbean Conference of Churches, and other brothers and sisters who took up the challenge. And every 6th of October, they will go to the Black Rock Culture Center to pay their respect to those persons who died on that Cuban airline. So that we must not write some of these leaders and fighters out of history, but we must include them. We must include them because they have done the work to keep the lamp or the flame burning so that today we can fully recognize and stand in solidarity with those countries who suffer at the hands of those terrorist criminals. And I must also say that I was very, very happy And I know all of us were very happy when in 1998, the government of Barbados, I think it was on August 1st, created a monument and set up a monument on Paynes Bay so that we can have in Barbados a sacred space for us to pay respect to those persons who would have died on the Cuban airline. And we must thank the government of Barbados and the government of the day for creating that condition. And from there on, the government of Barbados through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Embassy of Cuba, they have all come together and they have continued to organize activities on the 6th of October so that we can pay respect to those persons. But we are also at this period recognizing a very, very, very important resolution that was passed by CARICOM. CARICOM took a very bold step and declared the 6th of October as Cuba CARICOM Day Against Terrorism. This is another very important milestone for us because it was we who made the call at an activity at the Pomeranian Hotel in a kind of a regional press conference for this day. And CARICOM did a very bold thing, but it is a very important step for all of us. So we are today demanding justice for the Koreans, the students from Guyana, and the fencing team from Cuba who died on the Cuban airline. And that's why, as progressive persons, we need to stand up against all forms of terrorism, my brothers and sisters. I know we are dealing with the Cuban airline, but yesterday is also a day against terrorism. And we must take a stand against what is happening to the Palestine people. It is wrong. It is dead wrong. There's no way that if you consider yourself a progressive person, that you can support what is happening to the Palestine people by the government of Israel. This is state terrorism. They are murdering the children of the world. They are murdering the women of the world. They are murdering people who haven't done them anything. We have many countries that are suffering in Africa because of the same form of terrorism against our African people. They carried out genocide against our African people. As our brother David Commerson mentioned yesterday, these terrorists that are based in Miami have been carrying out terrorist action against the government of people of Cuba every day, every night. They have bombed hotels, the aircraft, other areas in Cuba. They have stopped the Cuban people from living by putting a political and economic embargo against the Cuban people. They're denying them the rights to medicine, to food. That is what the criminal elements of the world are doing to peace-loving people. Cuba is a peace-loving nation, a nation that stands for international solidarity with the poor and powerless people of the world. Look what Cuba just did in terms of helping to save humanity from COVID. Look what they did to help to save the Haitian people after the earthquake. Look what they did to save many of the poor people of the world who need eye care. This is a peace-loving nation that is helping the poor and powerless people. So when you carry out terrorist action against Cuba, when you put a political and economic embargo against Cuba, you're not only putting it against Cuba, but you're putting a political and economic embargo and carrying out terrorist action against the very poor and powerless people of the world. And that is what we have to speak about. That is what we must condemn. That is what we must fight against. My brothers and sisters, this is a very serious battle, and we must fight this battle to defend what is right against what is wrong. My brothers and sisters, long live the Cuban Revolution. Long live the unity between Cuba and the Caribbean. Long live the Bolivarian Revolution in Venezuela. Forward ever, backward never. Thank you, my brothers and sisters.